Are you stealing a pencil or are you stealing a cross?
Would it be great, like, after reading this, I want every spellcaster to have, like, a fake spell focus and a real one. And they keep this fake one noticeable, and they keep the real one, like, undercover. Alex, while you were finding a question online, I happened to come across one myself. This one I thought would make a very interesting crit think by virtue of being about a battle royale at the end of a campaign. It's that time of the campaign. They've all been journeying for a long time, and it's about to start a new campaign, and they want to duke it out. I'm setting up a Hunger Games like battle royale, and all the PCs can try and fight in the winner gets godhood. My Arcane Trickster player asked me about stealing a spell focus off the Sorcerer. The Arcane Trickster is invisible and has the Gloves of Thievery. I can't really think of a reason to not let him do that, but I know my Sorcerer is going to be super pissed off. Would you let this go? So I guess there's a couple things here, but yeah.
Sure. So my first thought, gut thought, is don't do this.
Yeah.
The entire first thought is just don't do something like this. Player PvP never really ends up well, especially if the reward is, especially if it's like at the end of a campaign and the reward is godhood. That sounds just, I don't know. The person sounds really young to me, perhaps. No shitting on people for doing stuff like that. I've definitely done it in the past, I'm sure. But that doesn't sound like a satisfactory end to your, game.
I mean, if they're all looking to do it, I guess.
Sure. You have to, that's the other thing. You have to have a lot of buy-in. All of your players have to want to do this thing. And it's like, that's one of those cases where you're going to sit down and be like, hey, how does this sound?
Yeah.
And you can lay out the basic premise, but maybe not give them all the details. Don't tell them they're going to be fighting each other if you don't want to. But again, if you're going to have players fighting each other, especially if some players or characters can die, you're going to want to have your players okay with it.
This does specifically say that they wanted to duke it out, so I guess the inference from that is that this is something that the crew is okay with.
So whoever's the most broken is going to win.
Basically, whoever has made the most broken character is going to win, and it's probably one of the spellcasters.
I don't know. I didn't know sorcerers needed a spell focus, but that's fine, I guess.
Did they make a whole thing where like every one of the spellcasters has to have some kind of focus, or?
I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway,
that's not the point.
Well, yeah. Let's just say, okay, apparently sorcerers have spell focuses, and if they don't have it, that's a problem. Although I always thought spell focuses as a mechanic was a little bit odd. Like, so what, if I don't have my special object, I can't cast spells or something? But my thought on it is, okay, so you want to have everybody do a battle royale. They all have to agree to it, sure. I don't necessarily find the idea of doing, like, Thunderdome at the end of a campaign to be particularly useful. Like, that would be kind of weird from just like a narrative perspective of, hey, we all went on a journey together and we all grew together as a group. Now let's fight each other to the death. And we're all
it's a little strange. I don't know. It depends on like your story overall. Obviously, it can definitely work.
Sure.
Especially if you have a ragtag group of reluctant heroes or whatever.
Oh, yeah, just like a group of heroes that hate each other and are only
the anti-heroes.
They're only working together because they have shared goals. And once that's over, I want you to die. You will die like the dog you are. Like that kind of a party. I don't know if that's fun at all.
Not to me.
It seems terrible. I don't know why I'd want to play with these characters.
Maybe once you become a god, the first thing you do is resurrect your friends that you just murdered.
Maybe you do. Maybe you do a thing where you do like a simulation, where you're all in like the Rock'em Sock'em Robots sort of thing, and you get to fight each other with all of your stats. You're playing the role playing game as your character's playing the role playing game. with their own characters where they've assigned stats to them. Let's deal with the big part, the actual question here, which is about if you have the Arcane Trickster and the Arcane Trickster knows that this is going to be happening, everybody's aware that this is going to be happening, has Gloves of Thievery, is invisible, wants to steal the spell focus off the sorcerer. Is that okay, first of all?
I feel like if you've got a party that has agreed to wanting to do a battle royale at the end of the campaign, and you have a character that is a thief,
sure.
I feel like you're gonna need to be okay with the fact that somebody's gonna try and get a leg up on the rest of you.
The first response actually back from that was something that started, if this is explicitly a battle royale where they all agreed to fight, then yeah, it's pretty clever at a pretty high DC or even a contested check.
Definitely contested.
Yeah, because this feels like less of a pickpocket and more of a ripping it out of their hands. Rogue still gets advantage. I don't even know if the rogue would get advantage in my framing.
I would make it depend on like when you do it. Like,
Yeah.
all right, next time we go to bed, I'm gonna rifle through his things and steal his spell focus.
Yeah, you.
And then the question is, do you know what his spell focus is? Have you paid attention to it? You know, are you stealing a pencil or are you stealing a cross?
Would it be great, like, after reading this, I want every spellcaster to have, like, a fake spell focus and a real one. And they keep this fake one noticeable, and they keep the real one, like, undercover, so people always assume that they know what the spell focus is. But it's absolutely a dummy. It's completely redundant. Wizards got to do this, too, with spell books.
Oh, my plan for a wizard was to have that wizard druid who wrote all his spells in druidic and in blood.
Oh, that's also fun. That's also fun. Me personally, I would be doing a thing where it's like I always have like a backup spell book. Like you keep the backup spell book like a little black book spell book that you've written down your notes on, just in case something happens to the main one, or make sure that you have the good spell books that don't catch on fire or get wet, because they do make those in the game.
There you go.
So hey, you can try those. Little wizard thinking there. I feel like it's makes sense for a rogue to want to be able to steal a spell focus, but it also makes me think that rogues are not intrinsically as good in a one-on-one battle with a spellcaster, which because
I mean depends, because rogues, at least older ones, I don't know if they do now, but they do get the whatever it is where they take less damage from area of effect or get to
uncanny dodge.
Yeah, that one.
Saying I need to steal a spell focus from the sorcerer is basically saying the sorcerer is going to destroy because I'm not nearly as powerful.
Or they're just trying to handicap the sorcerer because, you know, they are powerful. But I mean, that's in line with, I think, that character class anyways.
That's true. Shady stuff.
Yeah, that's what they're made for a lot of times.
Rogues do shady stuff. That's what that's kind of their whole MO. I would, however, want to caution players that would try this to know that this can backfire in tremendous fashion.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because if you don't win that battle royale and get godhood, that sorcerer is gonna be pissed at you. and even a sorcerer without a spell focus is not exactly something you want to get on the bad side.
Well, I think even more just from the player's standpoint, you're gonna have a lot of bickering.
These players are probably never playing together again after this.
Maybe. Depends how much they hate themselves and hate each other.
Hate the game? Hate the game. Before you go and do the Battle Royale, 1, everybody's got to buy in. They've got to say that it's good. But also 2, do not plan on having another campaign with all of them, because there's a very high likelihood that they will never want to play with each other again after you do this.
Like, I'm not gonna trust this guy, he stole my spell focus. You're like, that was a different campaign and a different character.
You know what's gonna happen? The sorcerer character's gonna play a rogue so that he can steal whatever the other player has. That's metagaming, though. That gets into another problem entirely.
Yep.
The next campaign, they come along, and they're like, okay, remembering what happened in the last campaign, now I'm getting back at you, and that's another problem altogether. You don't want that to happen. That's bringing old baggage into a brand new campaign. I just think that in general, this sounds like a recipe for disaster. I don't think this is gonna go well for you. You know what? If it does work out, love to know. I personally wouldn't want to set up any kind of a battle royale between my characters, and if it was something like that, it would have to be more of like a Thor and Incredible Hulk sort of situation, where they kind of get forced into a situation to fight each other, and then they're going to have a nice character arc where they get to make up. They're basically gods already.
One of them is.
One of them is, and one of them might as well be.
Yeah, pretty much.
I wouldn't want a scenario, though, where the characters are going to actively die. This would have to be more of like an MMA sort of fight.
Yeah.
On points. Get them on points. Who's determining that the godhood is happening? The seer or something comes down from the heavens and goes, now that you've defeated all your enemies, you must defeat each other in combat, and you shall be deified afterward. Who's getting the godhood here? What's that gonna do for you? No.
Anyway,
this is a Crit Think, so we pass a question along to everybody else on these, and the Crit Think question this time is, in a game like Dungeons & Dragons, or any TTRPG for that matter, is godhood really that great?
Would you pit your players into a battle royale as the end of a campaign?
No.
I'm not asking you. I'm asking the listeners.
There you go. But also, godhood in a role-playing game. I don't know.